What's up everyone? King here. I just went out to go harvest my worm bins, only to realize that one of my two bins had been sitting out in the sun in this 95-100 degree weather that we've had here in SoCal, and so went to check it out. And the vermicompost is perfect, but the worms were at the base, and it stunk to high heavens because they were dead and rotting in there. And so I cleaned it out. I'm making a new worm bin. I'm using my kids' school paperwork. When you want to use beddings like this, you want to make sure that it's not the shiny ones. Like, you can use newspaper ads as long as they're not shiny. Like this one, this is a kid's schoolwork, and it says to treat or prevent bacteria. What's the odds of finding something like that? So I went ahead and already poured it. This is the worm bin that I'm using. It's a two-tier worm bin. You can probably buy this between $40 to $60 on Amazon or whatever, or your local county will have these worm bins at a cheaper price, and will actually a little bit smaller, but will actually also have maybe a pound of worms. And so I went ahead and put the bedding in already. I wet the bottom part of it, and I'm putting the dry part. And I already had my worms in another bin, and I dug some of those out, and these are the worms that I will go ahead and add onto here. See how I'm using newspaper ads? And so the worms right there, and once they get going, they multiply and multiply and multiply to a point where you're struggling to go ahead and actually provide compost for them to eat. So these are the worms that are at the bottom. This is actually a combination of already worm castings and some dirt that I'm reusing. This was a small tote that was in the garage. So, and some of the beddings I'm using also is just the old soil that I'm using because it's been depleted already of nourishments. So go ahead and doing that, scrape up as much as I can. And so it should look like something like this, right? And then I will reuse this Amazon box. Because you want to purpose as much as possible, and so I will use this as cover to help retain the moisture of their beddings. I can use this one piece right here. And there you go. It's actually nice and snug. So then when you're done, you end up with worm castings that you can either put directly onto soil, or you can go ahead and make a compost tea and feed it to your plants, foliar or liquid. So it'll look like something like that. Hold on. Sorry, I'm not really into this vlogging video taping stuff. So I wasn't really good with starting tiers. I would just continuously add compost, and so I really don't have a times table on how long it will take for them to break down everything. But yeah, I just kept on adding. So you guys can find out for yourself. You want to make sure that it is in a cool, dry area, because then if it gets too hot, just like with mine, they start to find a spot to evacuate, and eventually they die. What I've noticed, at least with mine last year, was they were all gathering at the top and bundled up, so then they can keep themselves moist and as cool as possible. And so that's actually a good way of harvesting the worms from your compost, your vermicompost, is by putting them in a warm spot, so then they all bundle up, they all gather in themselves in a circle, and you can just get the clump of worms all in one and get majority of them. So anyways, good luck. This is my little 5-minute video on worm composting.